For us, it's a daily thing.
It's every day, right?
This is Mammoth Daily
We're going to take you inside the locker room
with Mike Fulta.
We want this show to be about the fans, and we want this show to be driven by our Utah Mammoth community.
And Adrian Denny.
Fans can submit what they want to hear us talk about, what they want to hear Utah weigh in on. It's all going to be here.
Here's Mike and AD with you.
Utahns, countrymen, lend me your ears.
Right here on Mammoth Daily.
We're here in beautiful Anaheim where dreams come true. And so far, Adrian, Anaheim Ducks have been making their fans' dreams come true throughout the first few weeks of the season. Ducks out to a great start. That's who Utah has on hand here tonight. Mike Fulta, Adrian Denny with you. We're your Hockey Night in Utah radio team. Appreciate everybody tuning in to Mammoth Daily. Remember to subscribe to the show if you are not already. But AD, maybe the number one surprise team in the NHL this season, the Anaheim Ducks, who for much of the start of the year have been at the top of the Pacific Division and are still near the top.
Well, they've got a team that has also had a 7-game winning streak, and they're also pouring in a lot of goals. Second in the NHL in goals, though they're on a 3-game losing streak. Hit the road, scored no goals in their last game against Minnesota. Head coach Joel Quenneville was really, really frustrated. They took 7 penalties. They killed them all, but kind of took away the flow of the game. They lost 2-0 to the Wild, Minnesota's second straight shutout. So they're starting to go again. But when the Ducks were on that 7-game heater, they were scoring goals, Mike. And in 10 of their 11 wins, they've scored at least 4 goals. So we'll see as they return home to start a 6-game homestand here tonight. If the Mammoth can catch him getting home, maybe a little comfortable after that trip, knowing that they've got 6 straight at Honda Center coming up.
You look at the teams around the NHL, Adrian, that have changed head coaches, which happens a lot every year. And a lot of teams are off to really good starts with new head coaches. You think of Chicago with Jeff Blashill. You think of Dan Muse in Pittsburgh, to just throw a couple out there. But you have to talk about the legendary Joel Quenneville, 3-time Stanley Cup winner as a head coach with the Blackhawks, won one as an assistant with the Colorado Avalanche in '96. He has no doubt been a centerpiece of this turnaround, but they also have these young players that are now taking that next step, like what we're seeing for Utah. But would you put the Anaheim Ducks at the top of the new coach sweepstakes? Are they number one in terms of teams to switch up coaches and also switch up their fortunes?
As you said, Mike, every team that changed a coach is doing pretty good. The only one that's not really flying is the Rangers, and they're playing well as of late at 10-7-2. But Joel Quenneville kind of got to Chicago at a good time too back in 2007. He was a mid-season replacement. I think he took over 7 games into the season, right as their young group was getting ready to go. And in Anaheim, they've got a young group, but they've also added some veteran pieces as well that I think have responded really well to him. And he's also a guy that went into Florida, Mike, when they were just okay, and kind of got them rolling right out of the outset as well. A playoff team is his first season, and he was 7-0 with the Panthers at the time of his departure there in his 3rd season.
We hear from general manager Bill Armstrong, there are some teams that win when it matters, and there's some teams that win the offseason. It's still not necessarily a bad thing to win the offseason, but I thought Anaheim was one of the winners of the offseason, not just Quenneville, but you mentioned some of the players that they brought in. Yes, those new kids are performing really well, but the veteran players they've added to their lineup, Mikael Granlund, who's been a bit banged up this year, but he's been a point per game guy when he's been in the lineup. You add in Chris Kreider from the New York Rangers, who has 10 goals already this year. Jacob Trouba wasn't an offseason addition, but he was brought in early last year, had 1 goal all of last year between his time with the Rangers and the Ducks. He's got 4 already. You're starting to see that offensive side of his game pop through a little bit. But all the pieces that they've brought in Anaheim appear to be clicking. And on top of that, you have a head coach who has won. He's also played, Adrian. So maybe it's a little bit easier for some of the guys that are already there to relate to Coach Q. But this Ducks team has been a ton of fun to watch. And yes, they've lost their last 3. But think about this. They're second in the Pacific Division right now, and they've had some key injuries as well. Granlund has been missing for about half their games. Ryan Strome has been out. He's a really good playmaker for them. Radko Gudas has only played in 7 games so far. And some of their big guys are not even producing yet. Alex Killorn only has 1 goal. Frank Vetrano only has 3 points in 18 games. Strome only has 1 point in the 2 games that he's played. So some of these veterans are not necessarily putting up the offensive numbers that we're used to seeing. And part of that is because of the young crop. And you see the guy, if you're watching on YouTube, that's Leo Carlsson leading the team in points. Their top 2 scorers, both 21 or older. Carlson's 20, formerly a 3rd overall pick. Cutter Gauthier, 21. Beckett Seneca has been fantastic as well in his first NHL season. But a lot to be excited about. And this feels like one of those teams that still can keep trending upwards. They're not necessarily just playing on borrowed time because of what I mentioned earlier, some of the big guys that haven't even started contributing yet.
Yeah, Carlson not only leading Anaheim in scoring, he's 4th in the National Hockey League in scoring. Gauthier, another prospect. They got him in a trade from Philadelphia. So Pat Verbeek's kind of been wheeling and dealing, does things his own way, right? They've had some contract extensions that have kind of sat there for a while he's negotiated, and it's kind of how he's done everything. But yeah, Mike, you thought Anaheim would be good with Joel Quenneville because they're good anywhere he goes. Any team he coaches is good. But for them to come out of the gates with that 7-game winning streak and find themselves atop the Pacific Division, that's impressive. Mammoth going to see them tonight, see San Jose, team that's also playing well on Tuesday. Mike, you know me and schedules. I think this is primed to be a trip that Utah can have some real success on and build at the 3 or 4 points that they collected at home last week. They're starting to get into that groove again. They're going to go into San Jose on a back-to-back, but they're catching Anaheim on the first game of a 6-game homestand. And you know what it's like. You have a long road trip. You don't have the success you were having, and maybe there's a false sense of security. Okay, we're home. It's going to be how it was before. And then going into San Jose, Mike, they're starting a 4-game homestand. They're coming off a road trip where they went 1-2, lost 2 straight to finish it, got shut out in Calgary, lost in Seattle. And they've maybe been a little ahead of their expected curve here to start the season. So I think if Utah can get a big win on Monday night, go into Anaheim feeling good, and then take it into San Jose on Tuesday, I think you're in a good spot for the Mammoth, who are then home for 4 straight games after that. So I like the scheduling here, starting the week with a back-to-back against 2 teams coming home and starting some lengthy homestands.
I like this. Adrian's up on the schedule. This is good. How about this? Starting Monday, or starting with tonight's game, Utah has 21 games in 37 days from now until the 23rd, which is the last game before Christmas. So during that span of 37 days, Utah does not have any 2-day breaks between games. So it's either a game every other day or back-to-backs. And there are 4 back-to-backs in this stretch, starting with tonight and tomorrow. So and we'll touch on this in a little bit when we get to our Monday morning power play, but Utah's depth is going to be tested, and it's really important to capture momentum when it's available, when you're playing in all these games in such a rhythm like this. One more thing on Anaheim for me, Adrian. Look at the teams they've beaten so far. They've beaten a Pittsburgh team that's had a really good start to the year. They've beaten the defending champion Florida Panthers twice. They've beaten the New Jersey Devils. They've beaten Dallas, Vegas, and Winnipeg. They've beaten some of the best teams in the league. So they're not just picking up wins against the little guys. They're not just kind of knocking teams off that they're maybe comparable with in terms of skill level, things like that. No, they're fighting out of their weight class and kind of resetting their weight class with some of these top teams that they're knocking off. I mean, there's a lot of teams that in that list that I just named off that you would call measuring stick games. How well do you play against Vegas? How do you look against Winnipeg, against Dallas, right? If you beat those teams, you think, wow, okay, we're on the right track here. And they've picked up some really some quality wins. And they're no doubt anxious to get back on track. This is the most adversity they've faced this season with these 3 straight losses.
Mike, you list the teams that they beat, but the teams that they beat consecutively during that winning streak went like this: Detroit, the Devils, we know how well they've been playing, Florida, Dallas, Vegas, Winnipeg on a back-to-back. Like, it hasn't just been evenly sprinkled out that they've been beating those teams. They did it when they were hot. And I think Utah, again, as you said, starting this stretch, we saw what the Mammoth did with 11 of their first games in a 20-night stretch where they went 8-3 and had that 7-game winning streak, won 8 of their first 10. Wednesday in the Odd Man Rush, Nate Schmidt is going to join us. And I asked him about, okay, we're packing the games in again. You guys like it? And I love the answer that he gave me. So we'll get Nate Schmidt coming up on Wednesday in the Odd Man Rush.
Odd Man Rush, did I go for a change on that one?
Yeah, you went for a change, and I asked Nate if he'd ever seen that happen before, and he also had a really good answer to that question to lead it off. So folks won't want to miss Nate with us in the Odd Man Rush on Wednesday. Mike, another thing on this trip that I think can give Utah an emotional boost, it is the mom's trip for the season. All the guys are going to have their moms with them. Do you remember the mentors trip last year? Utah went into Colorado, got a win, went into San Jose, played a really nice game and got a win. I asked Andre Tourney at practice on Sunday, what do you take from those 2 games last week? You got 3 of 4 points. When you went back and digested everything, he liked the 2 games, Mike. He wished that they would have put the pedal to the metal a little harder when they had the lead against the New York Islanders on Friday. Just wish they would have taken it to them a little harder.
Yeah. And that's what we've seen in games that Utah has struggled, the inability to get the next goal when they go ahead and to turn it from a 1-goal lead into a 2-goal lead. And I think some of that comes with just having that killer instinct, right? So we'll see what they can do against two teams that have been really surprising, and we'll touch more on San Jose in tomorrow's mailbag episode. But 2 teams that I shouldn't even say Anaheim's been surprising because I was high on them, but there's just so many other good teams in the West. You're like, I'm not putting them ahead of LA, ahead of Edmonton, ahead of Vegas, but they've beaten those teams and they've moved past them in the standings. So let's get to our Monday morning power play. AD, we've got our 5 big storylines, and we'll send people on their way to get ready for Hockey Night in Utah. But Monday morning power play, 5 big storylines entering the week. That's up next here on Mammoth Daily.
And now, time for the Monday morning power play.
Welcome into our Monday morning power play here on Mammoth Daily. AD and I are going to set it up like PP1, snap it around tape to tape, the 5 power play positions up high on the flanks, bumper spot, goal line. AD, you want to lead us off here with your first storyline?
I will, Mike. And as we're talking about the power play, remember, quick passes, Mike. Quick snap passes when we're working the puck around. We need two quick passes. That's going to get a power play goal. You want to start with the power play, Mike? I'll start with the power play and make it my number 1 here on the Monday morning power play. The good news, Utah snapped the 0 for 16 stretch on Friday with a 5-on-3 power play goal. They're now 2 for 2 on 5-on-3 power play situations this year, tied for the most 5-on-3 power play goals in the NHL. But most of the power plays, Mike, are not 5-on-3 power plays. They're 5-on-4. And Utah went 0 for their next 4 on the power play, and they had in that game a chance to make a 2-1 lead, a 3-1 lead on the power play with 3 straight situations with the 2-1 lead. They couldn't do it. It would have broken open the game. And Mike, so what does that make us now? 1 for the last 20 on the power play. Some quick math on the air there. I'll check my work later, but 1 for 20 on the power play. And Mike, you got a feeling that the power play, the 5-on-4, it's going to get going. We've seen it 7 for 20 during the 7-game winning streak. And you know that top unit, Mike, Mikhail Sergachev, Clayton Keller, Dylan Gunther, Nick Schmaltz, Barrett Hayton, they've all been on the ice for all of Utah's power play goals. Utah has 5 skaters this year with power play points. That number 1 unit. I think they're close. I think they're going to get going this week, Monday, Tuesday. Blaine Forsythe, who runs the power play for the Mammoth, our assistant coach, was with the Washington Capitals for almost 2 decades, running their power play through multiple head coaches. Mike, Alexander Ovechkin's been a fixture there, but they have had multiple head coaches, and they won the championship in 2018 with Barry Trotz behind the bench. But to me, Utah's very, very lucky to have Blaine Forsythe, and he is brilliant. And we've seen that first unit, what they've been able to do. It's been a little dry. And I was hoping the game on Friday night, Mike, was going to be, okay, if we go 1 for 6 in this game, we still win the game, and we got our guys back going with a lot of power play time. Didn't win the game, picked up 1 point. But when you went back over the last 5, 6, 7 games, the power play chances, 0, 1, 2 a game, just didn't have a lot. I was hoping that repetition and being out there in a game situation was going to spur that power play on, but I think it will Monday and Tuesday. And back to Blaine Forsythe, that was a pretty good power play in Washington that he's had. Yeah. Utah's power play was over 20% last year. They had a 35% run this year. I think it's coming back. And really, for the first time in a while, we saw the number 2 unit get some good looks and get some time on ice on Friday. So I think that's another thing that's going to come up very, very soon, is the number 2 unit getting a power play goal.
Guys that I talk to are always blown away by Blaine Forsythe, his attention to detail, and how intelligent and use the word brilliant he is when it comes to diagramming the power play. I like that storyline. I should have taken that. I'm glad that you did as captain of our Monday morning power play here. But I'm going to send it down to the half wall, and I'm going to, you know what? Let's go down to the goal line. Goaltending is my storyline here. So it's our second on our Monday morning power play. Utah has full faith in Karel Vejmelka and Vitek Vanacek. I don't think anybody questions those two and what they can do at their potential. But there have been a couple games where Utah's let in some goals that I think both of those guys would have wanted back. Right now, the Mammoth have the 6th worst save percentage in the National Hockey League. Last year, they were 19th out of 32 teams. Last season, you look at the teams that were in the top half of team save percentage. 13 of the 16 playoff teams were in the top half of team save percentage. If you want to be a playoff team, you almost have to at least be in the top half of team save percentage. You need to be getting stops. Utah right now has had I would say a 2-week stretch where there have been some goals that we would have wanted back from a goaltending perspective. I think another part of the storyline expands to the NHL as a whole, Adrian, because there are some teams right now that have hot goaltending that if we use past performance as an indicator to tell us what's going to happen in the future, we can assume or hypothesize that these teams will not be able to maintain those save percentage levels. I'm talking about the Chicago Blackhawks, who currently have a team save percentage of .920. That's the best in the league. And I like Spencer Knight a lot. I have faith in him. I think he's a number 1 goalie, but .920 for a whole year as him being the number 1 is not something we've ever seen before. So Seattle is 6th best in the NHL. I could see that number coming down as well. But Utah's goaltending needs to be a little bit bigger. They need to get another save or 2 per game, while the offense continues to search for consistency, and the power play searches for that consistency as well. It's easier to outscore your problems when the other team is not scoring very much. And that's my first storyline that I'm going with.
Yeah, Mike, and it's not like they're having to, see 40, 45 shots a night here. Utah's allowing the fewest shots in the NHL, and they've allowed shots in the teens 2 times in the last 4. Number 3, Mike, let's go back to extending a 1-goal lead to 2 goals. Utah led by 1 goal for 35 plus minutes on Friday night, and that is just not a sustainable position to have a 1-goal lead for. The longer you have a 1-goal lead, the less the chances continue that you're going to keep a 1-goal lead. And when Utah was winning 7 straight games, they extended a 1-goal lead to 2 goals, Mike, 16 different times. And since they've gotten into November, they've had 1 lead of more than a goal once. It was against Buffalo on Wednesday night. 1 time in Utah's last 9 chances with a 1-goal lead have they been able to extend it. And I know I'm on the right path here, Mike, because our good friend Dominic Moore, who we turn to for expert analysis and expert opinions, who's just, I'm going to throw that word out again, brilliant. Our Ivy Leaguer on our Hockey Night in Utah broadcast team. That's been one thing on TV Friday night. And with Bear yesterday at practice, that he's been trying to unpack and find a basis for how does Utah extend a 1-goal lead to 2 goals.
No state school for Dominic Moore. That is for sure.
No directions either. No directionals.
No direction. No A&M. No land-grant universities. No Harvard. All right. Throwing it to me in the bumper spot. Depth is my storyline moving ahead for Utah. And honestly, I could probably run this back the next several Mondays as well. But as Utah comes up with these 21 games in 37 days, like I mentioned earlier, the Mammoth's depth is going to be tested, as is every team across the NHL with the schedules condensing due to the Olympic break. You're going to have more injuries. There's going to be less time to recover. And not even just injuries. Guys just are not going to be at 100% like they would if we have a little bit more space in the schedule. We have Devin McConnell, who's our high performance director, does a great job getting the guys ready, monitoring their output on the ice during practice and in games, and making sure that they can match recovery methods and workout methods with the type of energy the guys are expending on the ice. But all that's going to be incredibly important. Guys coming into the lineup, but also depth contributions from within the lineup. I mean, the bottom 6 pitching in and scoring. I mean, the Utah's third defense pairing, which has been pretty good for most of the year, but that pairing continuing to take up minutes so that Mikhail Sergachev doesn't have to play 26 every single night. Team depth is going to be a huge factor from now until Christmas. It's going to take everybody pulling on the rope for this Mammoth team. And the more guys you have pulling, the easier it gets for everybody.
Like it, Mike. I'm going to take number 5, our NHL storyline here. Every point is absolutely huge. Even when you get 1 point on a Friday night against the New York Islanders and you don't want it. Because that 1 point, Mike, took Utah into 3rd place in the Central Division for the time being on Friday night. And that's how tight it is right now in the Western Conference. You've got 8 teams from 21 points to 23 points. The difference between being out of the wild card spot to being 3rd place in a division, or in the Pacific's case, 2nd place, is 2 points. You got 10 teams with 18 to 23 points, and Minnesota's one of them. While we're struggling, back-to-back shutouts, they're starting to play good. So even when you have a game like you did Friday, Mike, and you take a point that you don't want, bring it into the house because you're going to need it. And Utah did a good job because the Islanders brought it late, Mike. There was some good chances they had in the final couple minutes to try and take that game in regulation. So every point valuable in this NHL where everybody is in the mix.
The Mammoth are now accepting stray points. If you see a stray point, do not turn it in, take it in. we will find a use for it. That was a good power play, Adrian. I think we kind of set the stage for not just this week, but I think a lot of those storylines are going to connect in the weeks to come as well as we just start rolling through games here. There's no more off time. Hope everybody put their Christmas decorations up, got all their family stuff out of the way this past weekend, because we are bringing our lunch pail every day to work, just like you guys, all you day-to-dayers out there. Let's get to our third period, Adrian. Get people on their way for the rest of their Monday, and get people ready for Utah and Anaheim tonight. Third period coming up next here on Mammoth Daily.
This is Mammoth Daily.
Wrapping up your Monday show with the third period. And Adrian, we threw up the bat signal on Friday. We issued a call in the wilderness asking people to come up, and we had a lock of the night to be answered. We had a quiz that had to be answered as well. And then we had a take we wanted from people. And we had a handful that showed up and gave us great responses on all of those, starting with our good friend Luke, who set the tone. And Luke was honest about the quiz. That is what I appreciated about Luke the most, because he didn't go back and look up who had scored the OT winner against the Islanders last year. He was just going off the top, and he happened to get it right. But the lock of the night was what line is going to be most productive? Was that it? That was a lock of the night. The quiz was who scored the OT winner last year against the Islanders, and the take was tell us who we need to be talking about more on this Mammoth team. So let's roll what we got, AD, from Friday night. All right, we are here with Luke.
Hi, I'm Josh.
Hey, we're Kelly and
Scott.
My lock, I'm honestly really impressed with our third line right now with Krause and McBain and Peterka. I think that one has a lot of potential, honestly.
So you're going with the third line.
That's where I'm going. Yeah.
Hartoni, Gunther, and Hayden.
locked in is line number 2 because Karks moved to line number 2.
The quiz is who scored the overtime winner against the New York Islanders last year on Long Island.
Yep. I was going to watch this at work, the highlights, but then I forgot. But I'm pretty sure it was Dylan Gunther off the top of my head.
It was Dylan Gunther. He had 2 goals in that game. One of them was an overtime winner.
Gunner. The clutch.
A player that we're not talking about enough from this Utah team.
Yeah. Honestly, for me, I feel like Stenlund is kind of a guy who's a little underrepresented. A lot of the time people talk about his amazing power play skills.
The face-off
right? skills. Yeah, but that's all I really hear from people. So I'd love to get a little bit more information on how we feel about him and what he brings to the team and everything.
Yeah. Career high in goals, assists, and points last year for Stenny. So you're right. He does a lot more than just win draws. Yeah. Luke, thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you.
Yamamoto. Definitely Schmaltzy.
Yes. We gotta get more.
You don't hear it enough.
Oh, that was so much fun that night. And we'll have a better setup. I'm thinking, Adrian, we bring the tripod next time. Just have it set up, and boom, we can record stuff a little better. So thank you to those who did come up. I also had our good friend Josh, who was the second cut of that compilation right there. Josh said he has a question for us, Adrian, that he wants to interview us, because you had mentioned that on our Friday free-for-all. And I think Josh has put on his Sarah Merrifield hat and has some investigative journalism questions for us next time we all convene at Delta Center. But thank you to everyone who showed up, and it's our favorite part of the show, is making it interactive.
Yeah, and we also got a write-in from Brett, who said, I know you guys said to come meet you tonight, and I would if I could. It's my daughter's birthday party, so I thought I'd leave a comment. Tonight he has Boehner, the Sheriff, and Peterka. Friday night's lock of the night. He would have won that. He says McBain and Krause have been good. Adding JJ is a great move. He says quiz, Gunther won it. Keller won it the next night. That's right. 2 nights later at MSG against the Rangers. And he says, underrated person. He says, I've really liked Marino. He was strong Wednesday. 1 goal, 7 assists, +5. He's been great. And he's my birthday daughter's favorite player. His 12-year-old has a little crush. Enjoy the game tonight. He says, I will from my couch. Thanks, Brett, for checking in, buddy. Nice work.
Thank you for the response, Brett. We'll
A
we'll
lot
have to
harder. Lot harder to type it out than just come yuck it up with us.
Yes. Don't want to set the precedent of mail-in ballots, but always appreciated. And anytime there is a crush, we will we will take those messages as well. Maybe we'll drop Johnny a Valentine or something like that. But Marino has been great. I love that from Brett because, I mean, what did I respond to your tweet last week? Marino, Schmidt, like those guys have munched minutes, and especially with no Sean Dursey, I think they've gotten the puck up the ice really well. And when they're active in the offensive zone, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. So thanks everybody for checking in. And Mike, these folks have to come back tomorrow because our Tuesday mailbag, it's good. We've got lots of video questions. We've got some video answers, Dom Moore included. A couple good questions for us. We're going to answer a question, which I don't think's been answered, and Utah's been asking and commenting. So big Tuesday mailbag coming up.
Can't wait. We'll be recording that from San Jose probably. Or no, it'll be here. I'm getting my days mixed up. We'll record it in Anaheim. But that'll be for the San Jose game. So we'll talk some Sharks, we'll talk some mailbag, and we'll have a bunch of fun. I'm excited now, AD. I'm even more excited to see the graphics that you have cooked up.
Oh yes, those are being wrapped up right now as we speak. They should be arriving anytime. You know, I send those out, so they need a courier to get back.
Does Getty Images know that you're just ripping off like generic pictures of mailboxes? Or are you using AI to create those?
How do you know I'm not just going around taking pictures of mailboxes, Mike? I mean, I run 10 miles a day. I've got my fair share to pick from.
That's right. You easily could. You take a picture of Hogswallow's mailbox next time you run by.
That's a good idea. It's a good idea. They've got one right out front there.
one of our favorite little patios. But AD, good Monday morning power play. Great way to start the week with all of you guys. And Utah starts off the mom's trip tonight at Honda Center against the Anaheim Ducks. We will see you. We will talk to you on Hockey Night in Utah. So join us then. And as I tweeted out the other night, Adrian, if you're not listening to Hockey Night in Utah with us, I can only assume you are listening to Hockey Night in Utah against us. And we hope that you are with us tonight. Have a good Monday, everybody.